there are historical bases for using things like the rule of the octave or schemata as analytic objects, because even if it is debatable in some specific case whether that's the best way to explain something that happens in a composition, the larger picture is that we do know a lot about what was taught to various composers and what they taught to other people, and what was in the air when they were composing. And rule of the octave existed during the lifetimes of some of the composers who Schenker treats. Schemata certainly existed and were in the air. So those things, although they're debatable in specific instances, that they would be applicable, fairly applicable as analytic objects in some kind of analysis, should be reasonably close to dispute. They're not mysteries. They weren't discovered in the 20th century. They were known. They were known during the time during which the pertinent compositions and in the places where the pertinent compositions were composed. The Ursatz seems not to have existed before 1900, and so for it to be used by composers before 1900, it doesn't have the same analytic weight, right? Same analytic value as those other analytic objects. It really shouldn't be used as an analytic object for various reasons. One is Schenker wasn't an analyst. He did not want people describing his activities as analysis, and so to take any part of his work as an analytic object does not honor him. He was very clear that his graphs are not intended to show compositional technique or compositional chronology. And the implication that they do that abuses the graphs, and it abuses Schenker's own statements. And it even abuses the Ursatz. The Ursatz, it looks like it has some utility as an interpretive object. That is to say, it can help performers memorize the composition, or it can help them make decisions about how to prioritize emphasis in performance. That's great, but that's not what Schenkerians want you to think that they're writing graphs for. Ask them. Okay, so not even one of the composers that Schenker himself treats seems to have studied or taught anything called the Ursatz or anything that looks like the Ursatz. It's a 20th century invention that is supposed to be used interpretively. It is not an analytic object. Okay, the case for calling it an analytic object is that those composers must have been using it unconsciously. Great. Okay, so now we can read the minds of dead people. And that is what's telling us that the Ursatz is an analytic object. If you're reading the minds of dead people, you need to tell people that. Oh yeah, I have this analytic object that I get by reading the minds of dead people.